From the outside looking in, Zac Efron had it all. The perfect jawline, the piercing blue eyes, the Hollywood smile that could charm any room. He was the golden boy of a generation, a teen idol, a heartthrob, a star who seemed to emerge from the Disney machine with the world at his feet. Millions sang along to "We're All in This Together" as he danced across their screens, and for a time, he was the face of youthful optimism. He was the kind of star that looked effortless, natural, a boy next door with leading man charisma. But beneath the glittering image was something else entirely, a quiet ache, a loneliness that fame could never fix. Because fame has a way of hiding fractures beneath the glow. Behind the red carpets and the glossy magazine covers was a young man quietly falling apart. And no one knew, or maybe no one wanted to. Zac Efron was just a teenager when High School Musical exploded into a global phenomenon. He became a household name overnight, his face printed on every locker door and teen magazine from Los Angeles to Tokyo. He was instantly adored, idolized, and commodified. For millions of kids around the world, he was the fantasy. But what the world celebrated as a dream come true was, for Zac, the beginning of a slow unraveling. You wake up one day and realize you're no longer a person, you're a product. That's how he described it years later. Not with bitterness, but exhaustion. Because the fame didn't stop, the offers piled in. The money flowed, but with each film, each photo shoot, each carefully choreographed smile, Zac lost a little more of himself. The pressure to be perfect, physically, emotionally, professionally, became suffocating. He wasn't just acting on screen, he was acting in life, always performing, always playing the role the world had written for him. And soon, he turned to something else to cope. By his early 20s, Zac was already deep in a fight most of the world didn't even know he was having. Alcohol, drugs, the nights blurred into mornings. Parties that began as harmless distractions became habits. He was no longer living the dream. He was numbing it. He became, in his own words, trapped in a cycle. Chasing highs to avoid the lows, performing sobriety while drowning in silence. And all the while, the cameras kept flashing. In 2013, he quietly entered rehab. No statement, no press release, just a young man trying to reclaim control, trying to breathe. But the paparazzi caught wind of it eventually. And suddenly, the world was no longer talking about Troy Bolton. They were talking about Zac Efron, the addict. And that's when the isolation began. I didn't want to go out. I didn't trust anyone. I just wanted to be alone. He started disappearing from the spotlight, turning down roles, avoiding interviews. He changed his number. He vanished from parties. He became a ghost in his own industry. Behind closed doors, he was rebuilding, or at least trying to. But Hollywood has never been kind to those who step out of its spotlight. The calls started slowing down. The world moved on, and in that silence, Zac found something more terrifying than addiction. Emptiness. When the applause stops and the lights fade, what's left? The man who once smiled effortlessly on the Disney Channel was now the target of speculation, and no one seemed to care about the pain behind the change. For Zac, trust became elusive. Friends came and went. Relationships crumbled. He famously dated Vanessa Hudgens, and for a time, they were the golden couple of teen stardom. But that too faded, leaving behind heartbreak and headlines. He became cautious, guarded. There were fewer public appearances, fewer smiles. He started spending more time alone, in the wild, far from Hollywood, far from flashing lights. In interviews, Zac has admitted that he often feels most at peace in the wilderness, hiking alone, sleeping under the stars, disconnected from everything. Nature doesn't want anything from me. It doesn't care what I've done or how I look. That's why I go there. That's not the quote of a movie star. That's the quote of a man who's been running. Not from the spotlight, but from the pain that came with it. In recent years, Zac has opened up more, cautiously, vulnerably. In his Netflix series, Down to Earth, we saw a different side of him. More grounded, more thoughtful, more tired. He explored environmental issues, wellness practices, indigenous knowledge. He sought wisdom in simplicity. But even then, viewers noticed something deeper. Behind his curious questions and sun-kissed adventures was a man still searching. Not for fame, not for success, for peace, for meaning. Because that's the tragedy of Zac Efron's life. He got everything he ever wanted and realized it wasn't what he needed. Zac's story isn't just about addiction or physical transformation. It's about what happens when you give a child the world before he knows who he is. He was thrust into the spotlight before he had time to grow, expected to be perfect before he even knew what it meant to be human. And when he faltered, as all of us do, he wasn't met with compassion. He was met with judgment, gossip, and a public that preferred the fantasy over the truth. The world didn't want Zac. It wanted Troy. And yet, here he is. Because here's what makes his story remarkable. He's still here. Still trying. Still healing. Still learning how to breathe again. How to live again. How to be real in a world built on illusion. Zac Efron may have lived a tragic life in the shadows of fame, but he's also shown incredible resilience. He's owned his mistakes. He's confronted his demons, and most importantly, he's still learning how to be himself, even when the world insists on telling him who he should be. Zac once said, "You can't describe the pressure unless you've felt it, and most people won't. But that doesn't mean we can't be honest about it." So here's the truth. Behind every Hollywood smile is a story you'll never see on screen. Zac Efron's life isn't just a cautionary tale, it's a reflection of fame, of expectation, of a young man trying to be more than what the world projected onto him. He may not be the golden boy anymore, but maybe, just maybe, that's the best thing that ever happened to him. Because now, he gets to be something greater than a product. Now, he gets to be human, finally. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications to never miss a video.